and welcome. I am Ashley and I have a giant puzzle in my head that I have been working on for some time and trying to figure out how to convey the message to the average person that doesn't understand tarot, that doesn't really maybe even follow spirituality, doesn't matter. What I have in my head is a blueprint that is basically the foundation of the journey of life that we are all on, how we are connected, how the events that shape and mold our lives are related to one another for a reason. And I also want to provide you with that reason. I need to start somewhere, and where I've decided to start is with true crime. I'm going to start with true crime. I'm going to start with about 3 cases that we're going to focus on pretty, not heavily, but we're going to look into 3 cases. So that you can understand how I'm using the energy to communicate the messages that I'm getting from that energy. And it kind of is meant to lay the foundation so that later when we go into what I will call the blueprint, when we get into that, it will make sense and you'll understand the importance of it, the wording and symbology that I'm using. Think of this as like a very long get to know me day while I show you similar examples of relevant situations that will later prove a point. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for now. Today we're going to be starting by looking into the most recent case that I've been really diving into of KILEY RODNI. I've been doing energy reads on this and other cases for some time. I have not been sharing them. I've decided to share them now because I am helping to lay the foundation for something that's massive, something that runs deep in all of our lives. And I felt the best way to do that is by starting with something that has checkable facts that you can research on your own. You can look into how you feel about the information that I'm putting forth, especially because it's energy, so it's open for interpretation. We're going to start with KILEY RODNI. We're going to work backwards into a couple other cases, and then you'll really understand why I'm using these cases and what I'm using them for after we get a little bit more into the blueprint. And the blueprint is basically an obstacle course that each of our souls have to go through in order to ascend and evolve, which is the purpose of being here. And to do that, we need movement to move through this maze energetically with our soul. What I hope to teach you is how to move through this maze with ease and grace and have a little fun while doing so. And I think that I've put the puzzle together enough in my mind that I can have it make sense. And I'm ready to do that now. So we're going to start with KILEY RODNI. Hello. Today we are going to talk about divine timing because I had something happen yesterday that I am still kind of in shock about. So as you know, I've been working on the blueprint for a long period of time. I have been trying to make a group project type of visual for it. But I kept going back and forth. I kept struggling with recording the video because I would sit down and get overwhelmed because it's a lot of information to come out and I want to make sure it comes out in the right way. So before I started to put together the visual, I wanted to write everything down and kind of just sit and talk through everything and then show you the visual. But every time I sat down to do this, I kept getting very overwhelmed and I'd be like, okay, I'm just going to film a different video instead. So fast forward to, I have this thing where every once in a while I have to rearrange my entire house, like move all the furniture around, like it can't look the same at all. So I've been trying to do that with my bedroom, but I kept running into other things I had to do. This story's going somewhere, just bear with me. Bedroom. So I kept going to do the bedroom and then something would come up. So last night I finally went to do the bedroom, and this was after I sat down. I said, I'm gonna record this video this weekend for the blueprint. I'm just gonna sit and I'm not gonna have any script. I'm just gonna talk and see what comes out. I almost sat down to do this and I got so tired. It was like someone just like unplugged me from my battery. I don't know. And I fell asleep, and I took like a 4 or 5 hour nap this weekend instead of doing the video. So I'm like, this is weird. It's like almost like I'm being prevented from doing this, right? It's like not time, I guess. So fast forward to yesterday, I finally get around to moving my room around, and I move my bed, and the first thing that pops out under my bed is this book. And I happen to step on it and pull it, and the back comes off of the book. This is the front, the back comes off of the book. I do not at all remember doing this, but it turns out that on 7/16 of 2022, I had already written this. This is what I was trying to sit down and do, but I kept getting overwhelmed. It wasn't that I was overwhelmed, it was that Spirit was stopping me because I had already done it and completely forgot about it. 7/16/2022. So not only this isn't the only page, okay? Nope. I did the whole entire thing that I wanted to explain. Totally forgot about it. Don't remember doing this. Now that I see it, I can obviously look back and kind of remember when I did it. But this is what I was trying to write that I just kept not being able to do. And I'm like, I wonder, why did I forget about this, right? So I keep scrolling, or keep going, because all of this is part of it, right? And I get to this page, and I realize I started to write Kylie Rodney's name. This was right before I started doing a lot of YouTube videos. So I must have done this, got wrapped up in the Kylie Rodney case, and totally forgot. Now looking back, that was my first case that I covered on YouTube, the Kylie Rodney case. So the most divine timing, because this is what I needed for the next step. But it was like, no, you already did it. You already did it. You already did it exactly how it's supposed to be done. Don't redo it. You just have to find it. So, yeah, this is literally the next step that I needed to go forward with the blueprint and explain it further to you. And then from that, make the visual. So I just wanted to give you a little update. I also just wanted to show you because this is like an example of divine timing in real life. Like, I literally can't even explain to you. It felt like every time sat down to do this, there was something that was like, nope, you're not doing it. Like either Gavin would need something, or he'd be a little too loud so I couldn't film, or I think one time I had like a delivery and I had to go sign for it or something like that. Just like stuff that like, as soon as I sat down to do it, it was like, oh, nope, I'm going to take away your concentration and focus. And now I know why, because literally this is everything that I wanted to explain to you guys, and it was already written down. Anyway, so anyway, I just want to pull one card from this deck. I just want to see what we get here. Shine your light. No one can do as you can, yet we sometimes feel that we need to be a certain way, a way not aligned with our authentic self. It takes discipline to do what we love, especially if we are natural givers. It is easy to get caught up with other people's lives. I just said that I started the Kylie Rodney case, and I lost my place. Tending to our own needs harms none, and we will have a lot more to give. It is time to collect our light and shift the vibration here on earth. Starting with our inner sense of being. You are a sovereign being. Regain compassionate empowerment and remember what lights up your world. Yeah, that just made me cry. Okay, so I will see you soon with the next step of the blueprint.
Hear me out. I have a theory. What if the voice in your head is future you, the highest evolved version of yourself, retelling your story to the crowd of everyone else in the movie of your life, in which you are the main character, just as everyone is the main character in their own movie. What your future self is saying is being broadcasted to your current self through the channels of your mind. If you are focused inward, aka tuned into that frequency, aka tuned into your own spiritual path, then these messages will be heard and make sense. If you're focused outwardly on material and worldly matters instead of coming from the platform of your soul, if you are focusing more on the material things or caring about how your life looks rather than how it feels, then these messages being broadcasted either won't be heard by you, or you wouldn't have been paying enough attention consistently enough to be able to make sense of what you're being told or what you're being guided to. You can imagine that future you is a stand-up comedian. Future you is basically coming up with the script in real time as the movie rolls on. There is no such thing as time except in the physical dimension. So for your future self, time is not an issue. Time is really just representative of all the scenes in your movie and how long they will take to complete as a whole. This is why you might have heard before someone mention a timeline shift. A timeline shift is when eventually your current consciousness will catch up with the future version of you that's telling your story. This is what is meant by the other side of the veil or the curtain. So future you is speaking the script that's being broadcasted to you in real time, in the form of thoughts and intuition. And you are basically a video game avatar that is acting out your part in the movie, as well as being the director in the sense that you are choosing who stays in your movie and how big of a role that they play through the use of energy as a form of currency. When you pay attention to something, you buy that experience. So when you allow your consciousness to focus on something or someone, you're feeding it your energy and it reciprocates with the experience, aka receiving and acting out the script of the role that they are playing in your movie. All of this runs on energy, which is the true currency of the world. The actors in your movie are paid to stay in your movie based off of how much energy you expend to them to play their certain role or part. This is what it means that we all have soul contracts with one another, because we all agreed before coming to Earth that we were going to play a certain role in each other's movie and agreed upon the payment that would be put forth in the form of an energy exchange. Have you ever felt like you owed something to someone? This is where this deeply rooted feeling comes from. This is also why when a soul contract has been completed, our soul recognizes this and tries to release that person from our movie, like cutting them from the remaining scenes. Because the ultimate goal in coming here is to complete the movie in its entirety that we previously signed up to experience. Since eventually one day the concept of time will no longer be an obstacle, the ultimate goal of this is to basically have a library of souls in which you will be able to see everyone's full journey, to understand what they've gone through and what has made them into who they are. Ironically enough, you can think of it as the ultimate social media app or the ultimate social experiment that is filling in the pieces of the puzzle that's needed for this social media app experience as a whole. Imagine being able to take a peek into someone's entire life and see what happened that made them the way that they are. Being able to build that bridge of understanding and compassion with them. Then you will see that underneath of all of our pain and all of our hurt, we are all just spiritual beings that are here to endure all of the human experience so that we can evolve into the highest version of ourselves, which requires us to be tested and go through a certain amount of trial and pain, which is ultimately what this realm is for. In order to be able to appreciate and be willing to build that bridge of compassion and understanding, we must be aligned with the highest version of ourselves. Because if we're not aligned with the highest evolved version of ourselves, then there is still the opportunity or the possibility that someone would use someone else's story against them. And that is not at all what the Library of Souls is for, and it won't stand for that. So that's why it must be the highest evolved version of you that gets access to this Library of Souls, which would mean that your movie is complete by that time. So we all go through a blueprint that allows us to experience similar gates of feelings and emotions while going through them. Yet we all get to experience these events in different ways that, when put together, piece together our movie. There's a blueprint that makes sure we all get to experience each of the emotions that we are supposed to in a way that comes out into the motion picture of our life movie. First, we go on a descension process, which involves learning and enduring, so that we can turn things around and go on the ascension process of healing and remembering our purpose. AKA catching back up in the healing process enough from our journey that we find ourselves telling our story from the standpoint of healing and from the ultimate stage of love that is where our future self is standing upon waiting for us. The whole process really comes full circle with the amount that we use our phones today being very much ironic in a way. It really is the recreation of our higher self broadcasting the script to our brain and through our intuition, which we then used to play a role and direct others in their role within our movie. It is the ascension process or the proving that we learned that true currency is energy. And that we have learned that what we put out into the world truly matters and manifests not only in our own movie, but in the movies of others as well. Through providing major themes, lessons, healing, scene changes, and character swaps that are necessary for a movie to come together as a whole. Basically, imagine a movie with only one person in it. It would never be interesting. That's why we need each other, because we are co-stars. This is similar to how our brain takes the role of our higher self and broadcasts the script of our life to our social media, which is then used to create our reality based off of what we are putting out into the world, be it our business, our personal lives, our relationships. It is all very highly affected by what we are manifesting into reality by broadcasting that to others through our communications and social media. So as above, so below. Social media is the below version of the Library of Souls that is being created by each of us, maintaining the main character role in our own movie and playing that movie out to its completion. which, since there is a blueprint, ensures that we each learn everything that we need it to learn and experience everything that we need it to experience before our timeline eventually joins with that of our higher self. And we realize that we are actually the main character all along, each in our own right. You are literally made of matter. What you're made of is called matter, like solid, liquid, gas. That type of matter is what I'm talking. You have always mattered and you will always matter. And basically, this whole social experiment is to show you how much you matter and how each person's movie never would have came out the way it was supposed to had any other pieces decided to not fit the puzzle like we had previously agreed upon in our soul contracts. Basically, there's a greater plan that is very much unfolding, and you will be happy looking back once you realize that the bigger plan includes the greatest version of you. It actually requires the greatest version of you, and it won't happen until you become the greatest version of you.
So this is, you can kind of see what it feels like internally and how I put the messages together. So, you know, this type of thing where you put your hand in the box and you can't see what's in the box and you got to kind of feel it and try to figure out what it is. So channeling, when it comes to investigating and true crime, is a lot like this box. So essentially what's happening is I'm reaching inside this box and there's a puzzle, okay? And these puzzle pieces, I can't see them. So they could fit in several different pieces of the puzzle. But it's the channeling aspect is almost like you have someone on the other side of the box that's saying, okay, that puzzle piece that your left hand is on right now, that puzzle piece has half a tree and half a rock on it. So then I'm like, okay, well, that can either fit next to the house or that can fit over there in the forest, if you understand what I mean. So it's essentially, I'm trying to put a puzzle together while blindfolded, not able to see them, but I am getting messages that help me understand what those puzzle pieces look like if I were to be able to just outright see them. So essentially, a mixture of the cards and the audio visual cues, everything put together is what is represented by essentially my guides on the other side that are kind of explaining to me what those puzzle pieces look like. And they'll also bring in the element of, okay, that puzzle piece has a dip at the top and the bottom and like a nub on the side and the side. So that way I can know, okay, well, it can't fit there because that piece requires them to be in different spots, if that makes sense. So channeling, in my opinion, for true crime is in an investigative element is really like reaching in this box and instead of a plant, there's a puzzle in there. And I'm trying to put the puzzle together. And as the theory develops, as we find out slightly more stuff, or as pieces that didn't previously make sense begin to make more sense, then I can narrow down, okay, using my intellect as well as the channeling, I know that that piece of the puzzle can't fit over there because there's other things that prevent it from fitting over there. So it helps to narrow it down. So when there's slight shifts in what I'm saying, it's essentially because I'm trying to fit those puzzle pieces in the right spot and then add it with everything else. It will make sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Just want you guys to be able to kind of understand how these things are coming to be, because you guys really do help by pointing out certain things and bringing up certain facts and letting me know certain stuff. It really does help because then it's almost like channeling from my guides as well as getting messages from the universe through you guys that's like, hey, This is some more information about that one puzzle piece that you weren't sure where it fits. This is more description of what it looks like on that puzzle piece, what the dynamic of that puzzle piece is, what the shape of that puzzle piece is. So it narrows down where that puzzle piece can fit. All of the elements are there, and I fully trust in that because I've been doing this for 3 years now. I've had my business open for 2 years now, and I truly, fully trust in the messages and the guidance that I'm receiving. In an investigative element and standpoint, it's knowing that you have the right pieces of the puzzle, just making sure that you're fitting them into the right slots while being blindfolded, but being explained what those pieces look like. Hopefully that makes sense.
We're going to dive into my theory of consciousness and how we all must go through certain gates of experience so that we can collect the scenes needed for our movie in the Library of Souls.
I have been trying to put together a good visual for how to really explain to the average person what it means to channel or get psychic information. And I am hopeful that this very short little video will explain it to you at least at a baseline level, and then we will go into this more deeply in the blueprint when that is released. But I do think that this will give you a basic understanding of a visual representation of what it feels like or what it is like to get psychic or channeled information. For this example, you're going to think of the brain as a labyrinth. A labyrinth is defined as a complicated, irregular network of passages or paths in which it is difficult to find one's way. So essentially, in this example, we go through different energy centers. If you look at diagram C on the right, this will show you exactly what I mean. As our consciousness travels through this maze, which again, this will be further explained in the blueprint, but this is just a baseline of that knowledge. Our consciousness essentially starts at the bottom of where you see on diagram C, that stem that is at the bottom of the brain. Our consciousness starts there and travels its way through each of the energy centers in order to get through those passages to get closer and closer to the center. If you look at diagram C, that white circle in the center, that is the collective consciousness. You can think of it essentially like Alexa, the robot that tells you anything that you need to know about pretty much anything. That white dot is our version of that. It holds all of the information from the collective consciousness that is accessible to you at any time if you are able to get through this labyrinth, which is being blocked by these energy centers, which is why you must be aligned and have these energy centers opened. Because once you do, it allows you to send your consciousness into the middle of this labyrinth and come back with the needed or desired information. You can think of it like a boomerang. Your consciousness you can throw into the labyrinth, and it will go as far as it can based off of which energy centers are opened, which energy centers you have aligned with. Whichever ones are open and aligned with, your boomerang can pass in order to get deeper and deeper into the labyrinth, and hence closer to the information provided in that collective consciousness center represented by that white dot in the middle. So what is channeling? What is psychic mediumship? It is someone who has gotten skilled in the ability to open all of their energy centers, to throw that boomerang as close to the center as possible, and to know how to interpret and bring back the information that is gathered on that journey in a way that can be comprehended and make sense verbally when it's only shown through symbols and signs. So what is channeling? What is psychic mediumship? It is the ability to open your energy centers. It is the knowledge to know how to traverse
through the labyrinth that is in your mind, and it is the ability to throw your boomerang to where you direct it to go and allow it to come back with the information that you put out through intention to receive. So as above, so below, if you look at diagram A and diagram B, as you go through the physical representations of each energy center, so as you go through your throat chakra awakening, as you go through your root chakra test, whatever's happening on the physical is also happening above in the consciousness. So as you go through these energy centers in real time, as you pass your heart chakra test, as you open your solar plexus, it's also opening those centers in the labyrinth that allow your consciousness to more freely roam closer to the center in order to bring back that information that you seek. So to quickly wrap it all up, you can think of all of the energy centers, which are represented by little symbols here in the labyrinth. You can think of them as a wall. After you go through the awakening process for each of those chakras, it becomes one of those turn doors that you can walk through. And then after you're aligned and activated, that door begins to spin, allowing your consciousness to pass it at will.
Humans for Humanity is a virtual learning series with a spiritual focus that is designed to help connect you with the answers you have been seeking, as well as provide you with a supportive community to lean on, grow with, and learn from. There is a wealth of untapped potential that lies dormant in the connections that we have with one another. And through this series, I hope to help you see that, explore it, and use it to your advantage. The greatest teachers we will come across in our lives are one another. Humans for Humanity is designed with the intention to help you see that we are not competing with one another, but are all instead in a process of spiritual evolution that relies heavily on the connections we establish with others in order to help us learn as much as possible through this process. We are all essentially part of one big team, and this series is designed to prove that. In the world I know, we push away each other, programmed to be enemies instead of sisters and brothers. In the world I know, the children stand no chance of a future worth fighting for. Either they're exploited on the internet or placed in a cage with hundreds more. Either way, this is a moral low that we have never experienced before. The world I know, we watch our leaders lie, that in the same breath tell us to believe them or we'll die. All the while you can hear screaming mothers cry, because when they bravely fled to safety, they lost their kids with no goodbye. The world I live in, we refuse to see the beauty, like walking with glasses, colors of rose. Except this time the wine was poison, and when we speak, out the venom flows. We choose to keep the glasses on, even when they're altering how we interpret what we see, because it's easier to follow the majority than to fact-check for yourself and maybe disagree. The country that I live in would love to lock you in a cage. Don't let them catch you demanding change, or asking them to stand by the untruths they've arranged. Once they get you in there, you'll be surrounded by the others that were thrown away by a broken system that will likely never recover. I want to live in a world where we make people better, notice their storm and lend them our sweater. Adding rain to the swimming pool will only make it wetter, just as speaking love into each breath can only make our world better. The world I live in, fear overpowers love. The state of our mind determines who and what will become. If we run around scared because they tell us to be, we're giving up on our dreams and our desire to be free. The world I live in, we're distracted by so much. It's easy to forget that life could change with a single touch, or from a conversation with someone with whom you haven't spoken too much. You'll notice that we're all broken and meant to be each other's crutch. We hate to accept that we're all connected. Then we'd have to admit our judgments are wrong. The more different they make us feel, the less likely we'll be strong. Why allow them to keep us separate based off of color, money, and social standing?
Misery loves company, and you're in for a non-cushioned landing. The world I want to live in is like the one I live in now, except we all put down our differences and fix this shit somehow. Leaders need to be leaders and stop stirring up more trouble. They want us to light the fires so they can strand us in the rubble. It's not senseless to believe that you can make a change by being the change you wish to see. Mother Earth is begging us to wake up. Fierceness of her power put on display for all to see. The person you're being now is not the one you need always be. Imagine if the next step in the human evolution began through you and me. This is a poem I wrote, and it's called Bear. Division drives us closer to the hell which we create, pushing away each other, speeding toward our fate. We allow them to control us as we're starved of truth or care, stripping away at our dignity until our self-respect is bare. They've created an imaginary platform. On it they stand above us, demanding our praise, as they tear apart the families and drop soldiers to their graves. The purpose of which is to distract us, line their own pockets while keeping us down, as they create a world of pure chaos, deceitfully telling us that theirs is the only way to keep humanity around. Peace is just for dreamers, they'd love us to believe. Children broken, systems torn, a nation addicted to greed. Separating society from one another like the problem was ever from us. I think it's time for someone to claim responsibility for a government clearly gone bust. Maybe there's a type of art that we are yet to explore, the kind that unites us instead of dividing us more. From those who don't look or sound exactly like we do, maybe there's a reason for our differences. Perhaps those reasons could even benefit you. Would you even be willing to try to understand how to appreciate joy you've first had to experience being sad? We are quick to think we're owed something from the world in which we live, never once asking her what she needed us to give. If Mother Earth could speak, she'd bring a tear to every eye. Where did we go so wrong on a planet made for love, not lies? We were given in abundance more than we would need, but our elected led us down a hill into their fire pit of greed. Our leadership spews hate as we blindly follow along. We think we hate each other, but that's part of their song, the one they sing to try and divide us, disable our ability to trust, while their pockets grow thicker from every soldier blown to dust. They create problems to sell solutions at a price we can't afford. When will we finally stand up and say it's peace we'd rather work toward? We can change the melody and sing a song of love. Nobody said that who we've been is who we must become. We can write a different story, a different chapter of the same book. We just have to come together to realize unity is our left hook. The more we allow them to separate us, the farther away peace becomes. You can't use a gun to cure the hearts of a nation that's gone emotionally numb. We have children locked in cages, a city full of tents, while we worship plastic people and live stream their events. When did we become so consumed in the me that the we became unknown? Nobody should be making billions until everyone has a home. In a culture where we Snapchat every minute of the day, would you even recognize yourself if they took your phone away? Where did we go so wrong? Sometimes the world feels a little off course, but your voice still has a choice. No matter how bad the situation, no one can make you become what you hate. So when it's simpler to crumble and easier to cry, we have to learn to come together. It's the only way to rise. Rise above the hate, rise above the greed, rise above the turning a blind eye to our neighbors so desperately in need. For those with eyes to see, it's been clear from the start. Our reason for being here is to overcome it all together. And despite our differences, learn to connect, build bridges heart to heart. We've proven money doesn't give us happiness, yet it's all we try to buy. They're selling us their bullshit and we're purchasing their lies. Will those lies succeed, or will truth stand the test of time? How did we get here, and what's this all about? We've had the answers from the start, but we chose to live without. We are meant to believe that we just happen to exist by chance on a spinning rock flying through the skies. Started out of nothing for no reason. At least half of that's a lie. We started out of nothing, that's true, but whether or not your life will have meaning is completely up to you. Today, I have a video coming out probably next week. It is going to basically be a look inside my brain in terms of my beliefs of how everything behind the scenes, behind the veil works. This is something that I have been working on for years, and it's time to unveil. So this is basically a video that I put together in hopes to show you that my intentions are pure with the information that will be coming out, and that I am really just trying to help raise the consciousness of the planet, and that's what I've been doing in my business for over 2 years now. I did start my business back in 2021, and as you will see, I have thousands of sales and over 1,600 positive reviews. So I did not just jump on YouTube and hope for the best. This is something that unfolded on YouTube because I saw that I was able to do it based off of years of practice and honing in on my craft.
Magic is real, and it is found in the hearts of those children who still believe that maybe they can change the world. Part 1, Rehearsal. Welcome to the inner workings of my mind. Nothing really makes sense, except that it seems we're all just souls given these human genes. What if we're souls in fur or in skin, and all that separates us is the case we are in? Hearts can feel close, although their shells are far. Could it be that our body is not all that we are? We long for connection that can touch deep inside. Our exterior shell is just where we hide. Maybe we all get to be our genuine selves and be free in the blackness of dreams where you don't need eyes to see. I pray that you go through my work with an open mind and an open heart. So without further ado, it's time that we start.
I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off from personal readings so I can work on this, because I do think that this is my most important work that I can offer to the world, is an explanation of this that everyone can understand and incorporate into their lives. See you soon.
There is a quote by Tao Te Ching that states, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the student is truly ready, the teacher will disappear." Through this series, I hope to help you be able to be your own guru. Learn how to get the answers from yourself that are locked deep within, and forge a path forward for yourself that is created from your choices instead of settling for your circumstances. The goal here is to expand, elevate, and align with higher consciousness so you can be the change you wish to see in the world, and we can finally witness how love is truly the only force that can change the world. This starts with self-love, and that is our main goal here. Prologue. Authenticity. Noun. Undisputed credibility. Not counterfeit or copied. Conforming to fact and therefore worthy of belief. I am finally ready to tell my story. I'm not quite sure yet what this will look like, but I know that above everything else, I focused on one main aspect: staying authentic, learning to be unapologetically myself, accepting that I am deserving of the light that I can give to others, embracing the mindset that I am worthy of healing fully, and that it's okay to collect and recycle the fragments of me from my journey that have been left scattered along the way. To give purpose to the pain that has made me capable of so much more than I ever would have been without it. I am finally reclaiming my power and putting it out there for all to see. This book is my journey thus far. This is my heart on my sleeve. Reckoning, noun, settlement of amount due, an appraisal or judgment. I agree that all the world's a stage and we are merely actors, but instead of allowing the show to play, we're marionettes being pulled swiftly backwards, controlled by an invisible hand the eye cannot plainly see. We don't have to accept when we're told that this is how the world must be. Either you're like us or you don't get it. There's a war inside our minds. One that doesn't move on when you've left broken fragments behind. We pick up fragments that others have had. Perhaps they left them there for us or something like that. We use all these pieces to build up a wall. We don't realize we're locking ourselves in at all. Like quicksand, our problems go from bad to worse. Some of us bounce forward, and some fly in reverse. The soul is as real as anything else in or outside of us in this world. A soul is you. A soul is everything. Without that soul, the energy would not exist. You would not exist. So then, why do we argue about our differences when there are examples everywhere of how we're supposed to be? Bees pollinate flowers with love, yet fend off humans defensively. We will reap all that we've sown and pay the cost expensively. Because who are we to decide who belongs and who does not? We leave people and places worse off than we found them, then claim it's peace and equality that is sought. Love is the only treasure that cannot be sold or bought, yet we throw away each other, often without second thought. In the beginning there was life and nature, and since then we've never needed more. We were supposed to build with each other, not construct walls that lead to war. Does anyone really still comprehend what all of this fighting is even for? Each season of your life demands a different you, a phoenix that's arisen from the battles we're due. We often carry mountains we were meant only to climb. It's not a race against one another, it's a race against time. Learning not to fear the evil, because the shadow in the valley is mine. Each one of my demons I dismantled in due time. We only stay in the dark when we choose to conceal our own light. The smallest of stars can still shine bright, lighting up the night. The person you were is unknown to who you now are. You can overlook the growth when focused only on the scar. Each one of us must face our fire. We need to burn to learn to heal. You either come out as gold or ashes, with no chance for an appeal. We waste our days in selfish ways, instead of healing a world that is broken. We live through our phones, and that's even how most of our words are now spoken. So many people just want peace, but they won't let us try it. When the system clearly doesn't work, that's when we must defy it. Nothing good comes when we care more about our differences than what makes us equal. We were supposed to learn from Hitler. There need not be a sequel. Saving ourselves is our own duty. There will be no help from the rich and snooty. It's time to wake up now, America, the sleeping beauty. It almost started to seem as if the chaos of the world was on the same roller coaster ride that I was. Even though the world around me closely matched the one within, full of mayhem, This is sometimes when I get my best writing done. There's nothing more frightening than having your dream come true. All the preparation is completed. Now it's finally up to you to take in every moment, find joy in every scene, running solely on emotion, no need for the caffeine. Recall each lesson you have learned, except now you're also the teacher. You start to feel as if you're shifting into an entirely new creature. Every tear and every step that led me here to this, knowing what I do now, there isn't one I would dismiss. Life's not meant to be easy. You must find a way to make yourself proud by searching for what your gift is, then sharing it with all and love out loud. This is a little thank you note to you, the listener. I would like to thank everyone who is listening to this today, to learn how identity is just a costume and all the world's a stage. This would lead to reason that inside we're all the same. Yet if we keep fearing our differences, things are never going to change. We can no longer ignore the injustices and the racism on the screen. Honestly, in 2023, our children shouldn't even know what racism means. It should be so far past discussion, so far out of sight. If the whole world was colorblind, we could finally see things right. People filling their hearts with so much hate that there's not much room for anything more. You don't need to have a gun to be on their side of the war. Verbally, we're abusing each other, creating a world that our children shouldn't even hear. It shouldn't be one another that we deeply fear. I'll just leave this here. Humans have built a world designed to crumble at the feet of our greatest fears. Then we're programmed to believe that our greatest fear should be our differences. The same differences that were meant to bring us together with diversity have become the very match that will light the road to war if we don't slow down, observe, come together, and act as one whole body of people. After you've been kicked down more times than you can count, you learn to insulate, take your fears and lock them out. We push away anyone liable to learn our secret, that the demons in our heads don't just stop when it's convenient. It's not the drugs that make an addict, it's the need to just escape. Run far away from trauma, bust right through the caution tape. Each of us will make mistakes, each must take a fall. Pain binds us all the most. Take your turn, then pass the ball. The courage deep within your heart, you'll need out on your sleeve. But just be careful who you hang around, because many will deceive. They'll kick you when you're down, just to raise themselves up higher, thinking life's a competition, and revenge the multiplier. We need to stop deflecting unhappiness onto those who don't deserve it. Each of us with a beating heart should find a way to serve it. We're too caught up in the day-to-day, but when you stand back and be observant, all we want are real human connections, not wars planned behind closed curtains. Over 2 billion names on Facebook, yet into another's eyes we can't look. YouTube a few billion more, but family dinner has become a chore. We wonder what's up with our kids, but on their potential we put lids. We let media from socials raise the youth. Now Instagram is where they look for truth. Then there's this app called TikTok. Let's hope its existence will soon stop. Our lack of morals is reaching the tip top, and we're hanging off the edge. We can microblog on the Twitter and read about what made the popular adults bitter. I'm pretty sure words can be litter, and this is where we type them to stay. We have an entire generation with photo albums full of their own face. When did we stop looking inside? Our shallowness has reached levels of disgrace. Snapchat will hide your secrets, and probably WeChat too. But when will we learn what's important and change our point of view? We are here to serve each other, not focus just on you. What love will you look back on when your time on earth is through? Tick-tock, it's time for this to end. You are not the sum of your greatest mistakes. It's not you that is broken, it's the system that's in place. Instead of helping each other on a case-by-case basis, we demean those who need us and throw people away. We have people locked in cages in which you wouldn't house a dog. If you can't see what's happening here, put your glasses on defog. Speaking of smoke clearing, I'd like to make a little toast. I'd like to make a toast to everyone that's doubted me. It was that pressure that ended up rerouting me. I don't know where I'd be today had that pain not caused a sprout in me that enabled me to outlast each one of you that doubted me. To those who wished my downfall, I'm not sorry for your loss. You picked the wrong side of the field as the refs threw up that toss. As the journey came full circle, I never once put down my cross. My plan to earn respect was to never avert from my cause. Now we come to those who physically played a part in taking my plans so far from the start. I detested you at moments, but now it's clear to me. I got exactly what you didn't want. My success, a guarantee. If I said that I would do it, you know that it was done. Not a single of my problems that I tried to outrun. I battled all these demons in real time, face to face. No matter how unfair it felt, I've led with dignity and grace. Moving on to those who talked behind my back. It's because of all of you I discovered how much strength I had. Not a single set of arms to hold me when sad, but the perspective I have gained from this makes me forget feeling mad. Collectively, you thought you could break me, each hitting with your worst, had me questioning what I did, causing me to be so cursed. Once I wiped off the dirt that you each threw in my face, right then we all saw clearly how I will not be replaced. We learn more from one another than we ever could from books. We are vastly interconnected, regardless how it looks. We are meant to live as equals, but some refuse to see, if we could all come together, how peaceful it could be. We are focused on the material, technological world that we can touch with our hands and see with our eyes. We have forgotten why we are truly here. Life is so much more than you used to believe. True love isn't hard, we're just here to practice, to learn who we are and what the best way to act is. You can't heal till you've broken. You can't grow till you've learned. Future you will blossom from the lessons you've earned. There would be nothing to gain had there been nothing to lose. Your destiny depends on the path that you choose.
Because I do think that this is my most important work that I can offer to the world, is an explanation of this that everyone can understand and incorporate into their lives.